June 6, 1944. The world held its breath as the beaches of Normandy erupted in a storm of gunfire and chaos. Allied forces had landed, determined to drive the Nazi forces from Western Europe. But for every inch of sand they gained, they paid in blood. And amidst the chaos, there was one soldier who fought not with brute force, but with silence and precision. Corporal Jack Harris, a sniper in the 29th Infantry Division, crouched low behind a stone wall, the cold morning air biting at his skin. His M1903 Springfield rifle, customized with a scope, rested in his hands, perfectly balanced and deadly. It was a tool of war, but in Jack's hands it was more than that. It was the difference between life and death. The assault on Utah Beach had been a nightmare, heavy losses, the chaos of landing under enemy fire, and the unrelenting pressure to push forward. But now, in the heart of Normandy, Jack's mission was clear: provide cover for his comrades as they moved through the countryside, hunting down the enemy before they even had a chance to strike. From behind his cover, Jack surveyed the landscape. His eyes were trained to spot movement, anything that would give away the enemy's position. To the untrained eye, Normandy's fields might seem peaceful, the hills gently rolling beneath a pale blue sky. But to Jack, it was a battlefield, filled with potential threats at every corner. 3 o'clock, 50 yards, whispered his spotter, Sergeant Thompson. His voice was calm, but Jack could hear the tension in it. German soldier, just outside the farmhouse. Jack's eyes flicked to the target. A soldier standing guard, rifle slung over his shoulder. He was unaware of the sniper's gaze. Jack adjusted his position slightly, feeling the slight shift in the wind, calculating the trajectory. He exhaled slowly and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out like a thunderclap, echoing through the valley. The German soldier crumpled, falling silently to the ground. Jack barely flinched. He had taken hundreds of shots before, but every kill still felt like a weight on his chest. "Nice shot," Thompson muttered, but Jack said nothing. He had no words for it. The killing didn't get easier. It never did. As they moved through the countryside, the air seemed heavier with each step. The Allies had made significant progress, but the Germans were not willing to surrender their hold without a fight. Jack's job was to clear the way, take out key targets before they could react, ensure that his comrades could advance without risking an ambush. The day wore on. Jack's rifle had grown familiar in his hands, a steady companion in a world gone mad. He had taken down 2 more soldiers, each shot calculated, each pull of the trigger a matter of life and death. But it was the 4th shot that would haunt him forever. They had taken up position in a half-burnt barn overlooking a small village. Jack spotted movement below. A German officer and a few of his men huddled near a truck. They were preparing to leave, unaware of the approaching American forces. Jack adjusted his scope, lining up the officer's chest. He took a breath, but something stopped him. The officer wasn't the only one in sight. Behind him, a civilian woman had stepped out from a nearby house, her face stricken with fear as she moved toward the men. She was too close to the target. Jack hesitated. For a split second, the battlefield blurred. The officer was still in his sights, but now the woman was there, innocent and unaware of the sniper's presence. Jack's finger hovered above the trigger. His heart raced. He had no time to deliberate. The window was closing, and the officer was about to move. In that moment, Jack made the choice. He lowered his rifle slightly, moving his aim to the German soldier standing closest to the officer. The shot rang out, the soldier falling without a sound. The others scrambled, confused. The officer, startled, gave a brief shout, but it was too late. Another shot, and he too was down. The remaining soldiers retreated, leaving the area in disarray. Jack quickly reloaded, but he couldn't shake the image of the woman. Had she been in danger? He didn't know. The battlefield had no room for second chances, and the lines between enemy and civilian were often blurred. The rest of the day passed in a blur of movement and gunfire, as Jack and his unit continued their advance. But as night fell, and the sounds of battle subsided for a moment, Jack sat alone in the dark, staring into the distance. His rifle lay next to him, silent for now. He thought of the faces, the soldiers he had killed, the innocents who had suffered, the ones he had saved. War had no winners, only survivors. And in that moment, Jack Harris knew that he would carry the weight of every life taken, and every life saved, for the rest of his days. He closed his eyes, trying to sleep, but the war had already found its way into his dreams.